right, welcome in-game live prime time, hour number one of our 2-hour extravaganza. Yours truly, Scott Wetzel, along with the man, Dave Sharpan, as we take you till 10 p.m. Eastern time, watching, analyzing, and more importantly, betting and keeping your fingers crossed winning with the boys in Vegas. It's a beautiful night tonight. We got a ton of college basketball. We got a ton of NBA. We got a ton of NHL. We got a ton of guests. We got a ton of segments. We got Black Cloud, same-game parlays. We may do our three-league futures championship parlay tonight as well. We have time to get to it all. So with that, my partner in crime, Mr. Sharpan. What's going on, Dave? How are you tonight, my friend?
What's up, Wetzel? It's good to see you on a terrific Tuesday. I think we'll start it with that. We got a lot of teas. We got a lot of Tuesday. We got a lot of games, a lot of bets. It's a fun time right now with the college baskets. You know, winding down, regular season coming to an end, conference tournament started. That's fun. Hockey heating up, trade deadline Friday, teams going south, teams, ramping up. There's going to be moves made that are going to swing numbers, so we got to try to stay ahead of that. But the NBA is really something else, is it not? Like, what in the hell is going on with the NBA? The totals go under every night. There's blowouts. Sunday, you were probably on. I was away watching the kid play softball. But Celtics won by 50 against the Warriors?
52. 52. Don't even shortchange them. I mean,
what's
crazy.
Going on?
Crazy.
Yeah. Well,
we got the Celtics winning by 52. We got the Bucks winning against a real good Clippers team without Giannis in the lineup. Thank you very much, Milwaukee. You're better off not knowing who's in and who's out in these NBA games, Dave. You really are. I mean, I know it on paper makes absolutely no sense, but, who's betting the Bucks without Giannis, right? I mean, don't be me. I put him in early when they were minus 4.5. I figured, why not? Clippers, tough game the night before against Minnesota. Made all the sense in the world. I put the bet in early. And then I wake up and later on I watch the game and I realize Giannis is not even playing. I'm set to rip up my ticket, but then I said you know what, Scott's the NBA. Don't rip it up. We got a shot. Lo and behold, they come back, they win, and they cover the spread.
Don't ever rip up the ticket. We've talked about this for that poor person that has to go into the garbage can with you to fish out the ticket, to tape it together after it wins. Don't rip up the ticket. Just wait until after the game. Listen, that thing was 4.5, 5. It closed Clippers -3 pregame because of Giannis not playing, and the Clippers didn't cover any numbers. They didn't cover one number. The total crashed 8 points on the day of a game. The NBA total moved 8 points. Usually a recipe for disaster. If you went under, you caught the third number under, you caught every number under. There wasn't a number pregame that did not go under. So, yeah, NBA betting, it's fantastic. Like they used to say in the NBA promotional marketing. Remember, NBA, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. All right. It'll take years off of your life.
Yeah. I do like, believe it or not, I have a little system for that. I know it's shocking, but I love playing against teams that win games like the Celtics did against the Warriors on Sunday when you win by 52. Yeah, it's just a little thing I've noticed that these teams are all giddy. They're not paying attention. They think it's nice and easy. We got the perfect sacrificial lamb in Cleveland without Donovan Mitchell. The line today, I saw it as high as 8.5, maybe even gone higher. Yep. Celtics aren't leading by 8. Line's up to 10.5, but that's a suspicious 10.5 because you would think an 8-point favorite leading by 8 after 1, that line would be 13, 14, 15. It's 10.5 only, Dave. I got a funny feeling the Cavaliers are going to come back to cadavers and maybe not win, but I'd be more surprised if they didn't make this close than I would if it was a blowout.
Yeah, no Mitchell. Probably no real shot to win the game. I don't think so. But to cover the spread, I'd wait for a little bit more, right? 14-ish, somewhere around there. I think that'll be good. This game might fall 10. Might fall 11, somewhere in that neighborhood. If the Celtics cover, it's going to be by just double digits. So, listen, they're a machine. Your Celtics are just absolutely rolling, and they're taking no prisoners. I mean, winning by 50 Like at some point, you pull back a little bit, right? You slow it down. They're not. They're not. So
Yeah.
I don't know. They're trying to get this thing clinched, it looks like. Win as many games as they can, clinch the spot, and then we'll go from there. I'm not in a hurry to go against the Celtics. I mean, look to take points as much as you can, but Celtics aren't the team for me to fade. The Detroit Pistons, on the other hand, that might be one. Continue to
Different
fade
story.
the Pistons. Yeah, right.
One of my favorite betting systems in play tonight. Oh, yes. This is right up there. This is probably top 3. I wouldn't put them at the top, but top 3 for sure. Coaches fired system in the NHL as the Devils fire Lindy Ruff. Yesterday, they played tonight. Kind of weird you'd fire a guy, a day before a game. Usually wait for that game off, right? But they didn't do that. Fired him, whacked him yesterday. So first round is tonight as far as Travis Green, which is kind of weird, just out of goofiness. But you got a former Islander great general manager, or a former Devil, Lou Lamoriello, running the Islanders, right?
Yep.
And now you got a former Islander player coaching the Devils. Seems like it should be, Lou with the Jersey Devils and Green with the Islanders, but whatever. That said, was covering the Islanders when Travis Green was there. Never thought I saw a head coach when he was playing, but whatever. Devils are down 2-1. Just started the second period. You're getting plus 210 against maybe the hottest team, best team, who knows, future Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. But Devils tonight, the coach's fired system is the play, Dave.
Coach's fired system has been pretty good to us this season. The problem with the coach's fired
Especially
system
in the
with
NHL.
the Devils, it's been very good. Can he play goal? Can Travis Green stop pucks?
I don't
Because
think so.
I don't know.
So.
I don't know. You could change the coach, but if you can't get the goalie to stop the puck, it really doesn't matter who's sending out the line combinations or changing the lines on a power play and stuff. This is one. I watched a lot of the Panther game yesterday against the Rangers, a lot, and I think Florida's the most complete team in hockey right now. I think they're the best team in hockey. The futures would indicate that, they're the third choice. That's fine. That's a good number, plus 850. I think they're headed for that top spot. Now, that doesn't always bode well, but I really like them. And I thought, all right, that's kind of a cheap price. The price is the same for them at the Devils. They're on a back-to-back, and they're against the Wetzel coach's fired system. So you can't make – they probably should have been more against the Devils than they were against the Rangers, and the price was exactly the same. So I said, something's not right there. It's not the time to fade them. So I'm leaning Panthers tonight.
Yeah. All right. We'll see how things go. So got a full slate of hockey. Got a great college basketball game. Illinois leading Purdue early second half, 46-43. Some great college basketball games. We'll check it all out. We come back in Game Live, PrimeTime.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like this is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in. This is
they're
the Penn
always
State
going to
rule.
be better than the West half.
Yep.
That 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The Books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure. in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort
night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. In-game live, prime time. Just getting underway on this terrific Tuesday. It'll be even more terrific if we can put a couple of bets in that cash out. Yours truly, Scott Wetzel, along with Dave Sharpan. We mentioned some college basketball, a big game, Illinois and Purdue. That should be a lot of fun going on now. Good high-scoring game. I got the over on that one. Need a few more points. I tell you, believe it or not, though, Dave, the one that kind of jumps off the page is this dopey South Florida team, which, for whatever reason, is struggling at home against Tulane. I mean, South Florida's won 14 in a row. They sit atop the conference. You know, everyone says Memphis is going to get in and all these other teams, but no one's giving this team any credit whatsoever. And, they got a lousy next to last place Tulane team. And somehow or another, South Florida was only a 7.5-point favorite today, right? And I know you always say, well, the guys don't know. Second half, we're tied at 50-50. High-scoring game, obviously. But why was last place Tulane only a 7.5-point road favorite on the road against the first-place team that's actually won 14 in a row? That line should have been double. At least 12, if not 13, 14, Dave. And yet here we are in a tie game, second half. How'd they know?
Did they play once before? Is this the second meeting of the season?
This is the first time.
This is the first time they played. Okay. So sometimes the first number, the first time, can be a little bit off. Usually the second time they play, the matchup, the number's a little bit tighter, meaning, stronger number. So I don't know. The first time through in late March. So now these conferences, it's so strange because now sometimes teams only play each other once, whereas conference play back in the day, you played at each person's court, and it was much easier to make numbers and take bets. I think you had a much better feel for it. The first timers are tough. 7.5, maybe that, you know what that tells me? The teams aren't that far apart, despite the fact that South Florida has won all these games in a row. They're probably not that far apart in power ratings or some sort of matchup efficiency. There's got to be something in there that would tell you that it's only 7.5. But I mean,
3.5
we've seen now. Yeah. Well, this is why you see a lot more people, bad guys, rhombuses, parallelograms, razor blades, whatever you want to call them. They come in and make plays on the dog. Oh yeah, razor blades. They cut you up. They're very sharp.
Never heard that one.
Yeah,
sharp.
the sharp
I get
guys,
it.
all the razor blades. Yeah, of course. So
I like that. I like that one.
Yeah, use that one. That's fine. That's been one of those industry terms for a long time. They look to take the dog, so you'll see numbers that are shorter in the book right now in March. There's a lot of times you'll look at the game and you'll go, that should be 10. Well, it's only 7.5. I wonder why. That should put on the Wetzel alert, the light bulb. Go, okay, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe that guy might be on to something. But he could be off too. I mean, look at Baylor yesterday. Baylor was losing the entire game. And Texas had a complete meltdown. Baylor covered every number. If you rewatch that game for 34 to 35 minutes, Texas was the better team, winning at the 10-minute mark, winning at halftime, winning with 10 minutes to go, lose and don't cover the spread. Don't cover any number. So, yeah, we gotta look at NBA and stuff. I mean, coming up, listen, the Mavericks tonight, you see this number, this one screams out, what? What am I missing here? Why is this only 5.5? But the story of this game is the total. Scott, game goes over.
Yeah.
Easy, no? I mean, 246, 247?
Everything's going under, though, right? I mean,
but not this
I hear the guys say it on Coast to Coast all the time. Carver brings his up. He's like, another 8-0 under day on Sunday. The last two Sundays are like 11-0 the 2 Sundays ago and an 8-0 this past Sunday. In all these games, the numbers are all there. Even Indiana, right? I'll give you a trend. Indiana Pacers, right? All the goofy scoring that they do, right? You know what they're over under last 11 games? 9-2 under. So I remember asking you many, many times, right? In November, December, January, even last month, when have we hit that ceiling? Because they keep on going higher and higher and higher. And you would say they're going to get it. They're going to get there, Scott. They've gotten there. You're right, as you always are. They finally, I think, gotten to some of these numbers where the scoring isn't necessarily as crazy as it was, but they finally posted numbers. Now, every game is in the 230s. It's hard to find a game 222, 210, a couple of teams. But for the most part, everything's in the 230s. So I think they finally reached the point where, okay, even Indiana's not going to score 250 points every single game.
No. And, I mean, when you look tonight, the early games, 207.5, 217.5. There's a 231.5, 214.5, 217, 212.5, and 228. Those are the totals of the game so far of the 7 games going on tonight. That's where the closing numbers are. So this is an anomaly in the 246s, 247 range. And a lot of times when you see this happen, you go, oh, well, it has gone 11-0 2 Sundays ago. It did go 8-0 this past Sunday. And in general, unders have been hitting at a 78% clip since the All-Star game. So the numbers have caught up. They're getting lower and lower and lower. But this one screams Luka, triple-double, Luka, PRA, like the kids say, points, rebounds, assists over. I have a feeling he's going to light them up tonight. That's if they're using a what do you like to call it, a parlay piece, involve Luka tonight. That's Luka props tonight, probably pretty good against Indiana.
Yeah. Those numbers you gave, right, pretty low, right? You ran them all down. The current lines on those games, 188.5, 202.5, 208.5, 210.5. There is a 238.5 with New Orleans and Toronto. So as low as they were to start, they're even lower now. So scoring's just not there. Yeah,
did we get in a time machine and go back to like the 1990s? Is that what just happened? I mean, we were there. You and I were both there when the Knicks pregame totals were 182. I remember those days. You couldn't make a number that they would even get to. There were teams scoring 90 to 85 was the final of NBA basketball games in the 90s when they beat each other up and did all that stuff. So this is one of those runs I think you got to be very careful if you like to bet overs in basketball.
Yeah. I remember those old Miami Knick games and Miami Orlando games. Oh. Right? Those numbers. I remember there was a bet. I forget what game it was. Well, it was Knicks in Orlando. and I had the over, and this thing went to double overtime, and I barely squeaked it out. I think it was I don't know if it was a playoff game. It may have been a playoff game, and it was like 85-83, Ewing against Shaq or somebody, and it was just like walking the ball up the court like watching grass grow. I mean, it was just horrible basketball as far as scoring is concerned. I do remember I did win that bet, but I had to sweat it out in double overtime. So
those games needed a penalty box. There was so much physicality and fouling and different things, but they didn't make a lot of free throws. So those games stayed under. The other game that hasn't started yet in the NBA is Phoenix at Denver. Watched a lot of the game with Phoenix the other night, Sunday night, against OKC. And obviously something's wrong with Phoenix. I don't know what it is, the rotation, it can't stay healthy. Denver's the best team in basketball, at least in the West. Too big of a number tonight or not big enough?
That is a big number, right? 9. They're begging to take Phoenix. But you're right. There's something wrong with this Suns team. I've kind of given up on them. We might get to our 3-league parlay. I originally had Phoenix involved in it, but they can't stay healthy. They just can't. It's a classic team, great on paper, but in reality, this is not 10 years ago or even 5 years ago for these guys. So, all right, same game parlay is coming up next.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like this is a guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in.
Third,
this is the Penn State
rule. Be better than the West half.
Yep.
That 1 year that lightning in a bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
InGame Live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
InGame Live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
welcome back. In-game live prime time right here on the grid. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharpan until 10 p.m. Eastern time. Full slate of NBA, NHL, college basketball, same game parlays, black clouds, coach and fired systems, guests, you name it. We have it here. And then maybe, like I said, if we get time, second hour, we'll do our three-league parlay, championship parlay that we're going to hit, no doubt, pay from 400 or 500 to 1. Cha-ching, cha-ching on that one. But before we get to that, how about a little SGP, same game parlay time? All right, we'll go to the NBA since we're talking NBA. We'll go to that game that we were talking before, Indiana at the Dallas Mavericks. You got to grab Dallas. Not going to get greedy. We got the 5 legs here, so we won't get too greedy. Rather than laying 4.5, 5.5, you know what? Just have the Dallas Mavericks win. So we'll grab Dallas at pick 'em minus 184. And again, all these numbers are varying depending on where and when you do your shopping, right? So give me Dallas to just win the basketball game at home. They should do that against an Indiana Pacer team that's starting to come back to the pack here. We're going to grab the under because of the things we talked about. You know what? Pacers on an under. I said 9-2. I lied. They're only 8-2 under last 10. Dallas 12-7 under last 19 games. So the number is a monster, 247, 246.5. You know what? I'll take my chances. This ends up 125 to 105, 107, something like that. Dallas wins. Game goes under. We're going to go over Luka, 34.5 points. As David mentioned, and I agree, he should have a monster night tonight at home, coming off a loss against the no-defense Pacers. I don't know how he doesn't get 35 points. He averages 34.5, and he's had 35 or more in 4 of his last 6 games. And we're going to have some fun. We're just going to up the ante up here with some automatic plays that should not lose. Miles Turner, 1 block, minus 330. He averages 1.7, so nearly 2 blocks a game. We only need 1. And he's had at least 1 block in 8 of his last 10 games, so you know he's going to get 1. Then we're going to go Derek Lively for the Mavs, 1 block as well, minus 330, 320 or so. He averages 1.5 blocks a game, but he's had at least 1 block in 10 of his last 12 games. With all those shots being fired tonight, the chances of these two dudes not getting at least 1 block when they get basically 2 a game, it's not happening. So let's throw both in there. And the whole parlay pays about 7.5 to 1. Again, depending on your number there. We posted 721. So nice little 7 to 1 parlay there, Dave. What do you think?
It's not bad. I like what you did there. I'm a little worried about the total, but listen, you've been hot with the same game parlays. It's hit the last week. It hit both nights back to back.
Yeah.
That's a big week when you put one of these together. One of them paid like plus 850. The other one was like a little bit less, but 2 good wins. So you dabbled in the block market to have fun and like that. I mean, like that the 2 guys to get a block, you might have to wait 3 quarters to get that block or 2. Like we could have gone with assists or something like that.
I like the ability of getting just 1. There could be 15 seconds left in the game, and I'm still alive. I'm still alive with only 15 seconds left, you know, when maybe they start playing some defense. I mean, each team's going to take about 150 shots, right? You know, if these guys are blockers, you know, they got to get 1 little tip. You know, it doesn't have to go into the 3rd row of the stand. Just tip it. Just a little deflection. We got to get 1 possession. That's all. So why not?
All right, that's fine. That's good. I like the move to get the Dallas Mavericks on the money line too. That way you don't have to sweat this. Like, you know, if it falls 4, they win and don't cover, you're aggravated on the train ride home. We don't want that. We want you to relax when you go home. At least just win the game is good. So that looks solid. Unlike the Knicks tonight, they don't look too good. They're getting crushed. I don't know what Toronto's doing.
I got a lock for you.
What?
I think I've broken the system here. I think I got a lock. Want the lock? Yeah.
Please, we need a sound.
I found a little flaw
of a safe closing or something. When you give a lock, we're going to have Matty G find us a sound like a clink, clink, something. What is it?
Here's the lock. Ready?
Yeah.
You take a lousy game, and it doesn't necessarily have to be lousy, but a lousy game helps. and you bet the under. Case in point, and we played this to perfection on Sunday with the Clippers in Minnesota Teacups. That's why I say it doesn't have to be a lousy game. But the one little flaw we have in these in-game live numbers, Dave, is that they keep the in-game live number based on the original number. And when you watch a game like we're watching Orlando and Charlotte, right? Who's watching that? All right, we are.
Terrible game.
They're not scoring tonight. All right, it's down to 190.5. But that 190.5 is based on 50 points every single quarter. They're not getting close to 50 points every single quarter. We're halfway through the third quarter, and it's 56 to 55.
Okay.
So that means we need 80 points the rest of the game. You're not getting 80 points the rest of the game. I mean, unless all of a sudden, fourth quarter, these two teams decide that they're not going to play defense. And why would that be the case? Why do you play defense in the first, second, and third quarter, but not the fourth? And that's where we that's where we beat the boys in Vegas. And I say that's why it's good to have a meaningless game, because maybe they don't have a person actually watching this game. So they're just doing it based on the original 210 number. They think eventually it's going to come back to the pack. But I've seen these defensive games. They don't come back to the pack. Offensive games sometimes come back to the pack, but the defensive ones don't. So here's what I'm telling we should do. And here's my lock. Bet the under now, 190.5. And I can almost personally guarantee you there'll be a chance to hedge when we get this down to like 180 or so, starting the fourth quarter.
Really?
Well, are you going to get 80 points in a quarter and a half when we only have 111 for 2.5 quarters?
Stranger things have happened. I mean, we're not.
I know.
The book isn't in the business of
but
just
it worked
giving
Sunday. If it worked Sunday,
money,
it should work today, no?
Well,
shouldn't it?
Well, there's Sunday system plays, and then there's terrific Tuesday system plays. That they don't always work together in conjunction with each other, but
it should.
I could say probably from a lot of times sitting in a room on a Tuesday, everybody's watching the college baskets. There's some really good hockey games going on. This one is probably on autopilot. This Charlotte-Orlando game, it's probably on autopilot. And if you have been assigned this game, like this would be for the young guy trying to learn the business, and you tell him, look, watch this game, NBA game, watch for all the bets, pay attention, move the number accordingly. And then he sits there and goes, why did you make me watch this game? Because nobody's betting it. So I think your thinking is right as far as the game. Now, I mean, are we in the business of giving out locks? You know how that usually works out when you use that word. I get a little nervous using the lock word, whether it's a, combination lock. Or like when you were in school, did you use a combination lock or did you have the key lock? Which one did you prefer back
combination.
In the day?
We use combination.
Always the combination. Yeah, always the combination. Yeah. Well, is this a combination lock?
Well, look at it this way. First quarter,
it's down to
45
189.5. It's already trending down.
It's already down. It's already down. The goal is to get it to 180. Get a nice fat 10-point middle. Then I'll say I came through. Then you're on your own, people. I'm telling you it'll come down to 180, well, maybe 182. Then you do what you want to do. But they've had 45 in the first quarter, 43 in the second quarter, and they're on pace for about 48, 49 or so in the third quarter. But that still is that's below the pace of the game that you're going to need in order to get to 191. You're going to need 60 points in the fourth quarter.
I hope the guys in the room give you credit or send you the consulting fee, because it's down to 188.5 right now, just like that. So we're slowly inching it down point by point by point. By the time we get through with Kurtz before the Black Cloud play of the night, we'll probably be right around your range of 182. And then, what'd you say to people who are on their own?
Boom.
We teach them how to fish here. Remember when Dane used to say that? Teach a man how to fish.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Don't give him a fish. We teach him how to fish. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
186
that's something to keep an eye on. Yeah. And a trash game. Celtics are up What does that say? 55-45 at the half. 11.5 is the number in game. That number's totals down to 204.5. Boy, these unders it's more than a trend. It's a real thing. This is crazy.
And that's at 100 points, Dave. Right? That's at that's not at like 80 points like this other game we're talking. That's at 100 points, and they're still only making the second half 104.5.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Listen, the guys in the room and the odds makers and stuff, they pay attention to the shows too. They pay attention to the numbers. Yeah. You can't make it. You got to get it down. You got to get that number down. Get somebody to bet under. You're out giving out Charlotte and Orlando unders on a Tuesday. This is you got to get it down. You got to get that number lower. Somebody bet over, please.
Knicks making a little comeback here. Well, they were down 21 a moment ago. It's down to 11 at the half. 60-51.
Right. Yeah. They're a mess without Brunson.
Knicks,
that's not good.
Knicks can't lose this game at home. They can't.
Panthers scored. They're up 3-2. Second period. We're going to have Kurt's office.
Jeez.
Yeah. Penguins 3-2 Columbus. That one's going over.
Coach's fire system. Wow.
Hey, be careful.
All right, we'll talk to George Kurtz about some hockey when we come back here on the Grid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like
This is
the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in.
Third,
this is the Penn State
rule. Be better than the West half.
Yep.
That 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The Brooks are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
InGame Live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
InGame Live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
Sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
back in game live, prime time, right here on the grid, having some fun, talking a little NBA, a little college basketball. Haven't delved too much into the NHL, despite having a coaches fired system, one of my all-time favorites, in play. So with that, let's bring in our good buddy George Kurtz, who knows the NHL like nobody else. What's going on, George? How are you tonight, my friend?
Yeah, I was doing all right about 10 minutes ago. Now it's 2-0 St. Louis beating the Islanders here, and I'm not as happy a guy. So I think the Islanders have scored a goal against St. Louis this season. I think they got shut out a couple of weeks ago, 4-0 against St. Louis. So Islanders are playing the Blues. I might have the Blues. You mentioned the Devils fired Lindy Ruff yesterday, and don't you just love to be Travis Green? By the way, you're the new head coach, and by the way, play what might be the best team in hockey in your first game in the Florida Panthers on Tuesday night. Fun.
Yeah. But
I mentioned
over.
Real quickly. I just mentioned this to Dave. Isn't it kind of ironic? No big deal. But I find these things fascinating. You got a former Islander player in Travis Green coaching the New Jersey Devils, and you got a former New Jersey Devils GM, Lou Lamoriello, running the Islanders. I mean, we're right across the street here. Can we get things lined up? Can we trade Travis Green for Lou Lamoriello? I guess not, huh?
Please take Lou Lamoriello. Please take him. I think the game has passed him by. He's a Hall of Fame GM, all right? No doubt about that, but the game has passed him by. He's also 110 years old. He doesn't care about the future. He only cares about now. He'll make another trade by the deadline Friday. That'll hurt the Islanders. Islanders are a farm system that's ranked dead last in the NHL. They're also one of the top 5 oldest teams in the NHL. That's not good. The Islanders are going to come out to a big fall in about 2-3 years, where they're going to go back down to where they were, before Tavares joined.
George, rumor has it that you've been nicknamed Captain Chalk by certain people here on the network. You're not afraid of big numbers. Arizona is minus what today? Minus 270-something against the Chicago Blackhawks. I have a feeling that Wetzel is going to have a play in that one. Doesn't that scare you a little? The Arizona Coyotes, that's a gigantic number. Now, there's another game later that we'll talk about that's even a bigger number. But this doesn't even look right. This isn't on anybody's radar screen. You laying this, George?
No. I'm Captain Chalk with good teams playing bad teams, not bad teams playing bad teams. All right, listen, I understand Chicago's a really bad team. I get it. I'm not laying this. And this is not even a parlay partner for me. All right, this is I want to have a little fun maybe, but no, I wouldn't even parlay this. You can't trust the Coyotes. I'm sorry, did the Coyotes just lose like 11 straight games in a row? I know they've won 2 or 3 in a row now, but no, I'm not touching this game. Generally, Dave, 2 bad teams, unless I have some kind of gut feel, I leave it alone, especially on a Tuesday night where we had 8-9 other games.
Yeah, but I will tell you, George, they lost 14 in a row, but they have won 2 in a row. I'll give you the ugly numbers for the Blackhawks, and they are ugly. I mean, you talk about ugly. They have lost. Guess how many in a row, people? Little pop quiz here. I'll give you 5 seconds. The Chicago Blackhawks have lost, not that they win a lot at home either, but they have lost not 5 in a row on the road, not 10 in a row on the road, not 15 in a row on the road, not 20 in a row on the road. They have lost 22 straight road games, including all but 1 in regulation. I'm going Arizona, minus the 170 to win in regulation. 22 in a row, George. Winners bet with streaks. Losers bet against streaks. You can't pass up betting against a team that's lost 22 in a row on the road.
I can't argue with you, and I'm a streak player too. I like betting streaks mainly because you can only lose once, right? Streak gets broken, you move on. I do think Arizona wins the game. I do, but I'm not laying that price. I'm just not doing it. I can't. Arizona's not that good a team. All right, I understand the Blackhawks can't score goals, right? Outside of Bedard, they have no offense. All right, 2 guys they brought in to sort of help Bedard this year. Taylor Hall got hurt right away, done for the season. Corey Perry had whatever he was doing there. They released him. He's with Edmonton now here. But I just can't trust this. I just can't. There's no way I could lay that price. And even if you wanted to find a parlay partner, it's still you got to trust they win. I do think they win. So I guess you could find a parlay partner with the late game tonight, right? We go Dallas. That's
Dallas
minus 430.
That's the next game here on the docket that we're going to bring up. By the way, you look great in that blue. I didn't even get the memo that you were going to come on dressed in blue. This looks pretty good. I mean, if somebody wants to clip this, me and Kurt's next to each other in the blue. this is working. But we should have not Sharks blue on tonight. It should be Dallas green. This Dallas is going to smoke the Sharks tonight, right? I mean, it's 4:30 on the road. What in the world would this game be if it was in Dallas? If they meet again in Dallas, it's minus what, 650? That's the number that comes to my head. That we got to try to get out there to get a bet on the Sharks. But the Dallas in regulation, better bet than the Arizona in regulation? Maybe? No? Yes? What do you think?
San Jose's played pretty well. I mean, Dallas is the better bet. They're the better team. But San Jose has played better of late. Not well, but better of late. For a team that's not very good. The Stars should win. They're not going to have Tanev, right? I think he had, did he have, I don't know, he may have a passport problem, something like that, but he's not going to join the team yet. So do I have the Stars? Yeah, I have them in a parlay with the Predators. That was my parlay of the night here as far as those two teams are concerned. So I can't bet them straight. The problem with the Stars is even if you want to take them on the goal line, it's a heavy price. I think it was minus 165 or something like that, which is, Dave, that's right on the borderline of too much for me. I'm generally over minus 160 is as bad as high as I want to go before I start to look to to pair it with something else here. So like I said, I have the Stars and the Predators in a parlay. I think the Predators were up before the show. They're up 1-0. Now during the show with you guys, they're probably down 6-1. Just the way my night seems to be going.
Still up 1-0. Relax.
We got to start a new segment here, Dave. We got to start a PP segment, a public parlay, and let's keep track of it, right?
I thought you said that. I thought we're getting in trouble. We don't need that.
Get in trouble. Okay. I'll leave it up to the graphics guy if they want to improvise and have some fun with our PP segment. Then knock yourself out. It's not quite Austin P. Let's go.
We
P.
may need to call that something different.
Maybe.
Dallas
I don't know.
and Arizona. You still got to lay like minus 140. If you go the other way, by the way, it pays almost 13-1 if you take Chicago and San Jose. So maybe that's the way to go. All right, how about some games in progress here, George? How about we got the coaches fired system in play with the Devils down 3-2 after 2 against Florida. Any thoughts on that one? Or maybe Dave's Pittsburgh Penguins leading Columbus 3-2?
Yeah, I was on Pittsburgh as well tonight. So they had a 2-0 lead. I was all happy that it was 2-2. Now they just took the lead 3-2 on the Penguins. Sort of their last hurrah, right? Because they're trading everybody after this. I think, once again, Raquel could be gone. Gensel will be gone. Maybe Riley Smith could be gone. They'll trade whatever's not nailed down there in Pittsburgh. So tonight is their last hurrah there. I did not take the coach's fire system only because you're playing Florida. They are, in my mind, they are the best team in the NHL. I'm not betting against them. Once again, last night it was 3-2 there. I think a referee or a linesman got clocked. He was actually unconscious on the ice for a little bit here, right before the show started here. I think they've since got him off the ice there. I don't know if he got hit by a player or a puck or what happened. He was, literally out prone on the ice for a good while there. So we'll see what happened there. But I just couldn't touch that game, even though I think one of the big reasons why the Devils fired rough when they did, they're hoping for that bump. That new coach bump that they can win, 4 or 5 or whatever it might be, to get back in this playoff hunt here. But this, in my mind, signifies that the Devils are going for it. They're going to make moves by the deadline on Friday. Maybe that's getting Markstrom. Maybe trying to get Soros from Nashville. Not going to happen, but maybe they're not. They don't want to trade Toffoli, even though he's a UFA at the end of the year, because they want to go for it, try to get in the season. Maybe short-sighted thinking, but that's the way the Devils are going right now. Edmonton-Boston. Here's the big game of the night. Anybody have this scoreless halfway through? Because I know I didn't.
Yeah. It's 3.5 in game right now, and the juice is growing by the 30 seconds they're moving it. When we started the segment, it was 3.5, minus 120 under. Now it's minus 175. Final score of this game is 2-1. I think you could take, you lay the juice. Wetzel's got this middle thing working with the basketball with the Charlotte and Orlando. You might be able to take your shot, go under 3.5 right now, lay a little extra juice, come back over 2.5. If no goals scored in the next 5 minutes, it's going to that in the next 3 minutes. So keep an eye on that. George, Winnipeg is hosting Seattle, and Seattle's on the back end of a back-to-back. It's 1-0, 5.5 in-game total. Again, gigantic juice to the under. It's probably a one-goal game. Seattle played pretty well last night against Calgary. We talked about that. I don't know. I think Seattle's a live dog. I think Seattle, this game falls no more than 5. So under 5.5 pregame, still under with some big juice. Under in this game, there's not an explosion of goals. I mean, it's second period, getting ready to start 1-0. It's an under. No? Yes? What do you think?
I don't think there's an explosion of goals, but I'm thinking about maybe going with Winnipeg to come back. Right now they're plus 126. You mentioned Seattle played last night. Tired legs, third period, Dave. Tired legs. Winnipeg gets back in this. She's going to give me a plus $1.25 here. If I kind of lean towards the over because I'm not paying minus 205. That's crazy. If you're going to stick with the under 5.5, I mean that's where the smart money is. But it'll probably will stay under. But I'll take the juice. I'll take the plus money, the plus 158. I mean, so I'd have to go that direction there, even though I don't think it would happen. But my best bet in this game would be Winnipeg to come back and win this. Seattle tired legs. Although I'm the first person to admit this game is much more important to Seattle than it is to Winnipeg. All right, Seattle needs to win some games today, Thursday, to get back in this playoff hunt before they might think about trading players away on Friday. Wenberg was kept out of the lineup last night, and now Eberle might be dealt here. So there are a lot of teams that are playing this, this game here. Are we in it? Are we out of it? So a lot of pressure on all these teams.
How about LA Vancouver? They dropped the puck here in about an hour or so. That's the other late game.
It's straight, right? Minus 110 each here.
Pick them.
Boy, Kings have been up, down, up. You don't know what you're going to get with the Kings, right? They're playing better now. Vancouver has had trouble with good teams, right? That's been their bugaboo all season. They beat the crap out of bad teams. Think of Dallas Cowboys, but have trouble with good ones. So do we consider the Kings a good team? I don't know here. I kind of lead more towards Vancouver here. I mean, because I just don't trust the goaltending with LA. I don't care who's in goal. I think it's Talbot. But I don't care if it's Talbot, Rittich. And neither one of them is very good here. If you're going to give me minus 110, you're going to give me straight up even, I'm going to go Vancouver.
George, best team in the Western Conference as of right now. If you had one team, who is it? Because the odds tell you it's Colorado or Edmonton. And there's a couple lurking behind that I think are live. Who's your favorite team right now to represent the West in the Stanley Cup?
Colorado doesn't play well on the road at all. Hard to say they're the best team. I like what Dallas has done here. Vegas is good. I am disappointed, Dave, that I think Vegas made their big trade today with Anthony Mantha. I really thought they'd get Gensel, maybe Buchnevich here. And if they would have gotten one of those guys, I might have voted for them, to be the best team. Because they're a playoff team that no one wants to play here. I'm going to go with the Dallas Stars. I think they might be the best overall team. Got a good goaltender at Ettinger. I like the addition of Tanev. They have enough goal scoring here. They may not be done by the deadline. They might still make another move here. Give me the Dallas Stars as the best team. But every team we talked about here, brother, Winnipeg, Dallas, Colorado, Edmonton, Vegas, you want to throw Vancouver in here? It's all a smorgasbord. We can make an argument for any of them.
Craziness or genius? Phillies giving Wheeler a 3-year, $42 million a year contract, George.
Love it. Love it.
Good?
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like this is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in. This is
the
Penn State
rule. Be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA, And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
Sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. In-game live, prime time. Wrapping up hour number 1. Thanks again to George Kurtz for joining us, talking some hockey, little baseball there in the end. Time now for our Black Cloud big-time play of the night. Yes. You know what? This one cannot lose, as we like to say. We're going to go to the NHL for our Black Cloud, which is a double your normal bet. Whatever your unit is, we put 2 units on this one. It's so good. We're going to go to the ice. We're going to head out to Arizona in front of, 3,500 people or so. We got the Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Arizona Coyotes. We're going to go under 2.5 goals. You see there, Blackhawks. Why? Because they can't score, folks. I mean, it's embarrassingly bad. I thought with kind of Bedard coming back from his injury, things would change a little bit. You know what? It really hasn't. It really hasn't. They have scored 2 goals or less, which is obviously what we need to win this bet. Their last 22 games, 18 times. Wow. They have scored 3 goals or more in a month and a half or so's worth of hockey 4 times. 4. And I know Arizona sucks. I get that, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? They were actually challenging for a playoff spot before their 14-game losing streak. So, the record could be a little deceptive, and they have won a couple in a row. So what do you think, Dave? Under 2.5 goals, Chicago. It's been happening 18 of the last 22 times. No reason it won't happen again tonight, I think.
I put the hood on to be prepared for the rain.
I see that.
How this is going to rain down. This is what happens. You give me something that's going 18-4 in the last 22 and make it the Black Cloud play of the night. They'll probably get 2 goals by the end of the first period. And then we'll have to sweat it out. No goals in the second. And I'll be waiting in a third period with the other, 3,500 people at the game tonight. I'll bet under. Actually, if we bet the attendance, I'll bet the under. This could win. This is good. Let's go.
Yep. Here we go. Under.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back. It is InGame Live Prime Time, hour number 2 of our 2-hour extravaganza on this terrific Tuesday. A lot of T's there. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharpan. A lot of S's there as we take you to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Another T. How about that? NBA, NHL, college basketball, Black Clouds we got in, same game parlays we got in. Colby Dant will join us in a little while. We'll do some NBA and college basketball with him. We got some good college basketball games, Dave, going on. So for the new viewers, what's on your plate tonight, and how are things going so far?
So far, so good. You know I'm watching hockey. We're going to the Ultimate Universe. We got is it the Ultimate Universe right now? Okay. All right. I thought it was right
Not
now.
yet.
That's
Not
all right.
yet.
All
Okay.
right. No problem. I heard it. Yeah, college basketball, Florida's blowing Alabama. That's a good score. Purdue held off Illinois. That one was a little bit I really thought Illinois was going to be the side in that game, and impressed with what Purdue did down the stretch on the road. That's a big win for them. But man, we got a couple college basketball games coming up later. Dayton, St. Louis, St. John's at DePaul. Really sharp guy that I know gave me the first half of that game. Said that's a blowout. The game is 19.5, 20 in places. On the road, Wetzel. I mean,
wow.
I know you like to take dogs, and our friend Cam likes to what he does call dumpster dive and take bad teams and bad games. Can you possibly, even if Patino came out in the white suit tonight on the road at DePaul and laid 20 points? Come on. That's crazy talk.
Yeah.
Right?
Can't do that. I mean,
No.
what would they be, 26 points at home? As if,
Maybe
if it was
more.
a home game?
Maybe more.
Wow.
Yes, this would be one of those ones. I mean, it's hard to make as you get down to the end of the season and you get the super bad teams, and DePaul's top 3 worst teams in the country, no question, especially in a big conference. You just throw up a number and hope nobody bets it. Like you just say, I don't know what to make St. John's, but I'll make it something that hopefully nobody will bet, and just get past it and go and try. I mean, if the game is 19.5 or 20, the first half is 13.5. My guy Palmetto, that's his nickname, Palmetto Yinzer. He's got Pittsburgh ties, so everybody in Pittsburgh in this business has a nickname. It's really interesting. He said lay to 13.5 because you don't get the silliness at the end of the game. Makes a lot of sense. A lot of sharp guys, a lot of razor blades like to do that. What about Auburn and Ole Miss? Or no, Auburn and Missouri. Pardon me. Auburn at Missouri. Auburn is one of those teams everybody's talking about. Another big number on the road. But apparently, Peralt gave me this one. Missouri's lost 16 games in a row. 16 games in a row. Auburn's a lot of people's choice to make the Final Four, to make noise in the SEC tournament. A lot of people liking Auburn. You?
I like them, but I don't know about Final Four. It's funny, this Missouri team. They were basically pick 'em, like a minus or plus 1.5 or so against Ole Miss on Saturday. And I was all over Ole Miss, and they were leading by like 15, 16, easy winner. I checked my score, and it was like a 3-point game. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? So Ole Miss ended up winning, but Missouri kind of, got killed, came back, used all this energy, lose, and now all of a sudden the line, against albeit a better Auburn team maybe than Ole Miss, but, it went from small to huge. So I got a funny feeling Missouri covers today. I don't think they win. No reason to think they're going to win. They haven't won all year in the SEC. But I got a funny feeling they cover that big number, Dave. What do you think?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, as a book guy, I'm taking a home dog. I'm not sold on Auburn like a lot of people are. I'm just not. I don't see it. I've been told Auburn's going to win the national championship of college basketball for it feels like 5 years now in a row. I mean, a lot of guys that I respect keep telling me Auburn. One of these years they might be right. I don't know. I'm not sold tonight. What about Kansas? Kansas is another game that's coming up right now. At home against K-State, huge rivalry game. Another 11.5 number. You see this one?
This one I'm going to lay.
You're laying?
Yeah. I'm going to. Yeah, you know why? Kansas beat them, or Kansas State rather beat them. Remember, they blocked all the fans in the stand. They did a good job not rushing to court a couple weeks ago. Kansas always beats the hell out of Kansas State. You could probably count on one hand, literally, how many times Kansas State has beaten Kansas twice in one season. Now, are they going to cover the spread? That's the next best thing, right? We've seen this Kansas team not be typical Kansas team, right? Losing at home. But I just think they're going to beat the snot out of little brother there. And I think they cover the spread when everything is said and done. A chance for them kind of flex their muscles a little bit. So I do like Kansas. We do have a hockey game starting here, Dave, in a couple minutes. We got to get our alternate universe up there with Chicago and Arizona dropping the first puck here in 5 minutes. So little alternate universe time. All right, this is where we take a game and just move the line, as some of these sites allow you to do, whether it's a puck line, whether it's an over-under, whatever the case may be. Tonight we're going to use Arizona and Chicago. Why not? I do like Arizona. I mentioned that before with the way the Blackhawks play on the road. 22 straight road losses, all but one coming in regulation. Number of those by 2 goals or more. So as mediocre as Arizona is, you know what? I'm going to lay 2.5 goals. The 1.5 doesn't give me enough. Give me Arizona laying 2.5. I'll take the odds. Coyotes win by 3 or more.
Man, oh, man. What about the total? Do we have the total? This is where I want to go. I'll take a ride over here to, wow. Okay. Let's go under.
6.5 is the normal one.
Right.
Under?
I think,
over.
I think no. This is at most a 3-2 game, but I'll go 3-1 and go under that 4.5 plus 330. Really swing for the fences. You didn't really swing for the fences tonight. You just the 2.5 is kind of moderate. Usually you like those.
How many going to win by 5?
Well,
I mean,
listen, they played Colorado, right? Colorado shut them out 5-0. Could be one of those.
They did. That's true.
They did, right?
That is true.
If Chicago doesn't score, it's the Black Cow play tonight. They could get shut out, right? Under.
Yeah.
They get 1 goal, 3-1.
I think I like yours better than mine.
Everybody's happy.
To tell you the truth, I think I like yours better than mine.
Just saying.
Well, what else is new, right? I'll stick with Arizona laying 2.5 at plus 152. Okay. It's not great, but I do like your under as well.
Alternate universe.
Right, alternate universe. We are in. Back after this.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like
This
is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in. This is
they're
the Penn
always
State
going to
rule.
be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort
night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live, prime time here, hour number 2, having some fun on a terrific Tuesday. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharpan for another 45 or so minutes, talking some NHL, some NBA, and college basketball with our next guest. You see him all the time here on the grid, Colby Dant from the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. The College Experience Podcast is the one he does. Colby, what's going on, my friend? How are you tonight, bud?
I'm doing great. It's March Madness. I just saw the 1 seed in the Atlantic Sun get upset by the team that barely made their conference tournament, the Jacksonville Dolphins. So March is here, guys.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
And
I was looking at South Florida. I was worried about them losing tonight as well to who were they playing there? Tulane.
Tulane.
Dave and I were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, unfortunately, I took Tulane in the points. Yeah, it's final. They covered. They actually covered. South Florida ended up blowing them out late.
Yeah, Wetzel, it's 85-72. South Florida won. You panicked and you're worried they weren't covering 7.5. They covered. They won by 13.
Thank goodness.
You're fine. That's
Had it
good.
in the bag
I
the whole
Colby. I'm in Vegas. I'm going to watch UNLV play San Diego State. Home dog, San Diego State. I don't know, maybe the class of the Mountain West. A lot of people talking about them getting 5, maybe 6 teams in. Very short number, 2.5. Totals 136.5. What's your play in this one?
You know, I got to stay with the Aztecs here in a critical game. UNLV's red hot, and I know that they're only a game out of first as well. But the Aztecs, to me, they're the team to beat. I understand that right now they're 1 game back, but they also host Boise in San Diego on Saturday. If they win out, they can at least get a share, I would imagine, of the Mountain West Championship because the other teams play each other. I just think they're too good of a team. I know you could say 5-7 on the road. They've had their struggles on the road, but mainly at the super tough road environments. And no disrespect to UNLV, but I don't describe their home court advantage the same as the Pit in Albuquerque or in Reno or in Boise. But, UNLV has shown signs of life, but I just think they're going to be the Aztecs are going to be able to shut them down there. They're the 6th rated defense in the nation. And to me, their veteran players will show up. They're a veteran team. Yes, they lost Matt Bradley and they lost Johnson to Arizona, but they're still a veteran team. All those guys that went to the national championship a year ago, it's like 6 or 7 of them still on that roster. So I think they'll make the right plays down the stretch and take care of the Rebels at home.
All right, laying 2.5. How about the other Mountain West game? Nevada at Boise State, Colby. 5.5 are the Broncos. We talked about this before, where some of these Mountain West late games, you get the 7.5s and the 8.5s. This one actually giving you a halfway decent price. Two balanced teams that only is, surprisingly enough, 5.5.
Yeah, and I've Steve Alford. I normally historically like to fade Steve Alford coach teams, and I've kind of ate it this year with Alford and Nevada looking really good. I mean, even the Colorado State game the other night with like a half-court game winner at the buzzer. But I do think they meet their match here. I think Boise, I've been super impressed with Boise. They're another veteran team that I talk about. One of the things I think college basketball shifted 10 years ago, you like those one-and-done teams with there's an NBA talent. But ever since the portal changed the game and NIL became a factor, I believe that your teams that are super experienced have the best chances to advance and win big-time matchups. And if you look here at Boise, and I know Nevada's got some experienced guys too, but at Boise, Leon Rice done a great job there in Boise. Tyson Degenhart is a stud that has been with Boise a couple years now. And the backcourt has been there for a while as well. They're an experienced team, especially at home. They beat Nevada in Reno. I think they're going to take it to the Wolfpack here. I like laying the number.
So a couple games going on in game that we can kind of take a look at. I asked Scott this question at the beginning of this hour. St. John's at DePaul. St. John's laying 20 on the road at DePaul. You can't. I mean, it's fun to get to the back end of the season and start to look at these teams, and the bad teams are really bad. Can you possibly justify looking at St. John's laying a gigantic number like this on DePaul? Or Colby, would you like to look at the dog and go, there's value on this? I mean, this is a tough one. Or do you just pass? What's the move here?
I mean, I didn't throw any money specifically on this game, but I did lean. We pick every game on my podcast, and I leaned St. John's just because DePaul has gotten destroyed lately. It's kind of like they've quit on their team a while ago when Stubblefield got fired. So, I mean, I when they first fired Stubblefield, I tried to reluctantly. I was like, I'm getting 27.5 against UConn. I made the mistake of, loading up on DePaul, and they lose by 43. Right. But yeah, so I would lean to laying the points, but I'm with you. I don't feel comfortable. St. John's, even though Patino's got them playing better, they're still at times offensively challenged. They don't have a real shot creator. And that's always a concern to me, even against DePaul, who's the worst team in the Big East. But I would still lean to lay in the points because I do think they've quit. This is something that I feel like happens more in college basketball now than before. You fire the coach, you're in the NIL era, and it's like, hey, what are we doing here? Let's look at our other options. You have like a 30-day window from when they fire a coach to transfer. So I kind of think they've quit. So I'll lay it with the Johnnies.
How about I like to think of this as a moment of truth game for Kansas tonight, Colby. They've lost a rare 2 games in a row. They're only 3-4 their last 7, and one of the worst stretches in the Bill Self era, right? And he's had a lot of success there, so that says a lot. Going 3-4 is one of your worst, but they're at home against a perennial patsy for them. Even though they lost to Kansas State, and they're down early, 7-5, no big deal. A couple of minutes in, it's down to 9.5. It was 11.5. Where are you on this one, if anywhere?
Yeah, I'd jump in right now and lay it. I think Kansas is going to stick it to them. I know it's early on in that game, but Kansas needs this win. They play at Houston on Saturday, and I don't know that they can win that game, even with everyone healthy. So I like them, laying that number, especially the fact K-State got them in the Little Apple there in Manhattan. I think they stick it to them. I like laying a big number. I think they win by 17, 18 points. Kansas State's not the same team they were a year ago.
What do you make of Auburn? Auburn's laying 2 touchdowns right now, 14.5 in game at Missouri. The game closed around that number there, 11.5, 12. I don't see what a lot of people see in Auburn, but that doesn't mean they're not good. Are they a team, one, that you consider tonight laying a big number on the road, and two, Final Four chances? Like, are they making a Final Four? Can they actually win the whole thing? Where you at on Auburn in general?
Well, one of the things that I think makes it incredibly hard with Auburn, and I am on Missouri tonight just because I can't believe they're still winless in the SEC. But anytime Auburn leaves the jungle, I'm a skeptic a little bit. I know they had that Final Four run in 2019 where they probably should have beat Virginia and played for the national championship, but I'm a skeptic away from the jungle. And another thing is I'm kind of a skeptic of Bruce Pearl coach teams in March. I'm loading up on Missouri because I think Missouri's better than their record, despite them being awful. But Final Four. I do think they could easily be a Final Four team. But I still probably wouldn't favor it. But it's all about the matchups. When you get that bracket, you never know who's gonna. What last year. You got the Fairleigh Dickinson in the second round. So Florida Atlantic got Fairleigh Dickinson in the second round. So if you get the right matchups, they're talented enough to, but I would still bet against it.
Yeah. Real quick, betting opportunity, Wake Forest down 17. Pick them at home against Georgia Tech. They come back and win?
I'd jump all over that. Now, Wake Forest is doing everything they can to not make the tournament. But, yeah, I jump in on that. Give me the Demon Deeks and the points right now. Let's go.
There you go. Colby Dan, great job, baby. Colby, as always.
Thanks for having me, guys.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like
This
is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in. This is
they're
the Penn
always
State
going to
rule.
be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The Brooks are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
InGame Live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
InGame Live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Are we geniuses or what? You know what? There's a saying we give, no one beats the boys in Vegas. You know who does? Dave and I. Dave, have you, welcome back InGame Live Prime Time. Have you taken a peek at the Orlando-Charlotte Hornets game? I will tell you, we're sitting on under 190.5 as our big monster lock play, right?
Yep.
I will tell you, with 3 minutes and 54 seconds left, it was 97-84, which means they needed 10 points. Wasn't looking good. 10 points in the final 4 minutes. You get that in 30 seconds in most NBA games.
Usually in trouble.
Final, Orlando 101, Charlotte 89. 190 points. We win by the hook. Cha-ching, cha-ching. Geniuses. Had it in the bag the whole time. How about that? Woo, are we hot? We're hot. This is just too easy. This is too easy.
Got to fan off after that. That's the
Wow.
key. Stop talking about it. Stop looking at it. Had Colby on to break down some college basketball. Completely forget about it. During the break, he kind of wrote it off as a loss, so I stopped looking at it.
I did.
That's outstanding.
I did.
That's when you win those. Now you feel strong. Like you feel strong like bull.
Yeah.
That's good. That's, you nailed it. I mean, you told everybody under 190.5. I mean, if you'd have called your shot and said you're going to win by the hook, I wouldn't have believed you. But those count the same too. That's good. That's what you needed. Excellent. That's good. Good.
And,
good win.
and honestly, I did look. I looked with about 4 minutes left, and I saw that score, and they must have gone to a timeout after that. I was like, oh, this is, you know what, man, this is going to be a loser. And I do this once in a while, at night, Dave. I think I mentioned this story before. Every blue moon, I won't see like the final inning or the final 2 minutes of a hockey game or basketball game, even though my bet is like automatically going to lose. I'm down 5-1 with 2 out in the bottom of the ninth, right? But I turned the TV set off and I say, I'm going to go to bed just knowing I got this little glimmer of hope, right? Just a little glimmer of hope. And every once in a while, I wake up the next morning or I go back to that game, a half hour later, like I did with this one, and like, wow, how about that? It won. It's a beautiful thing. So
hold on. Listen, time out. 20-second timeout here. You don't go to bed not knowing the result. Don't try to tell me and everybody watching this show, this is a big show. There's a lot of people watching. You don't go to bed without rolling over and checking the phone. You're 100%. You check the score. You definitely check the score. I know you're not going to sleep going, I'll wait and see what it is in the morning. You check it, don't you?
No, I do. I not all the time. But if I got a decent-sized bet or just a bet that's going to aggravate me to no end because they were up big and then they, blew it.
Right.
Instead of having that 100% aggravation, I give myself just a little out. I'll sleep a little bit better tonight knowing that you just never know.
You want more aggravation? Do you want more aggravation now that we're talking about it?
Yeah,
Blackhawks
why not?
Won. Blackhawks won. Coyotes nothing.
Are you kidding?
They got the first goal. They got the first goal. It's 1-0 Blackhawks. Oh boy, Blackhawks.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I told you. They'll probably get 2 in the first period.
It's amazing.
None in the second, and you're going to have Agita for the third period. That's all.
Yeah.
No more checking.
We should have known with just the symmetry, Black Cloud, Black Hawks, that we should have stayed away. Just should have known.
Still
Devils
no score at
scored to
Edmonton
make
and
it
Boston.
4-3.
Yeah, that's good.
Wow.
Got that game over.
Still no
good.
score.
We're over every number there. Penguins, Blackhawks, every number over there. That's good. Although that's now 9.5. What are they doing? 9.5 under minus 285. That's a rookie doing that.
Nice.
What are we doing? Turn that off. Just don't even take bets on that. Still no score at Edmonton and Boston. We did tell the people to go under the 3.5. That's now 2.5.
Yes, we did.
Under juice. So third period just underway, 17 minutes to go. If you like to get a middle, have both teams score 1-1, go to overtime. Like I believe 8 of the last 10 Boston Bruin games have gone to overtime.
Yeah.
There's a will there be a
Crazy.
draw bet, plus 320, plus 350 range. Might be worth a shot tonight. Both teams playing for the point. If we get to the 10-minute mark, there'll be a lot of dump and chase. Try to win a game in overtime or shootout. So,
why is Edmonton favored, Dave, in that game on the road?
They were favored pregame. They closed as the favorite, minus 125. Complete over, I think, analyzing or overvaluing the back-to-back. Edmonton was in Boston waiting for them. Boston was in Toronto beating the Maple Leafs again last night. So they played the Maple Leafs. I mean, that's a short trip. It's easy. Go to Toronto, take them out with a 4-1 win, come back home, sleep, no pregame skate. We skip it. We get to the rink and play tonight. Listen, hold Edmonton to no goals through 2 periods is a pretty good effort. Boston's tweaking things, getting things right, but the Maple Leafs are the team that they don't want to see the Bruins. They can't beat the Bruins since we were kids. It's been a long, long time.
Yeah.
So, what's the Kraken score? 1-1. Sweating that one. Need under there. I'll skip the next game. All right, that's good. We're caught up with the hockey. We went over to hockey with Wetzel. With George, with me and you. What happened to your Celtics?
How about the Islanders? I will say this. How about the Islanders have taken a 3-2 lead over the Blues? You know, if George didn't come on and be so pessimistic and tell, the Islanders get shut out, they can't score against St. Louis, I was all set to play them. I'm like, okay, George knows. He knows best. He's an Islander fan. 3-2 Islanders.
Yeah.
They were probably getting a fat number, too.
Yeah. Yeah, they were. It was 2-0. Celtics 97, Cavaliers 94. 4 minutes to go. Sprint right now. It's a quick bet. What do you do in this situation?
I'm telling you, I told you I'd like Cleveland from the start. Now, I didn't think they would necessarily win, but I did play that little hunch. They've come back. They got all the mojo, but are they going to actually lose to a team with no Max Strus and no Donovan Mitchell? I don't know about that.
No.
They're at you got to get 21 more points, maybe the under. That's where I'm going to go. They're not going to get 21 more points in 4 minutes left, are they? Close game, good defensive game. They're probably not running up and down the court.
I like Boston to close them out. Some of these times, these bad guys would come in right now and they get you. You know, this game closed 8.5. Would you lay 4.5 up 3 with 4 minutes to go? Remember the movie Speed? When they asked the guy, all right, what do you do, hot shot? What do you do? This is a question for you right now. You laying 4.5 or taking 4.5? You like plus 8.5. This would be a nice middle to have, right? 4.5, 8.5.
This would be good middle.
This would be good. This is sometimes why you take those positions pregame. What else as far as tonight? The Denver and Phoenix game. NBA coming up.
Look at NBA game. I'll tell you that one too. 270, by the way, for Pacers and Mavericks. So much for my under.
Bam!
270.
Over 246. Over 246 looks pretty good. People pay attention.
I would say so.
Show. How about that? How many points Luka have?
128 points.
Yes.
They got 128 with 3 minutes left.
How many does Luka have? Give me the Luka.
How many does Luka? 28? Wow. 28. You were all over that game. Very nice.
Luka.
Very nice.
Luka. That's good. That's good. Love when a plan comes together. Give me the plan for the Denver-Phoenix game, please. 7 o'clock start.
I'm going to go Denver. I'm gonna bet Denver. Yeah. I'm ready to write off this Phoenix team. I had them twice against Houston. One time they lose outright. Can't cover at home against the Houston Rockets. Pathetic. Then I had them against OKC, play a little hunch because I knew the whole world was on OKC. I said, not me. I got to be different. You know, I got to be different. Why do the smart thing? So I've placed 3 bets, and I've lost 3 times with Phoenix. So that's it. They're done. Give me Denver. It's a fat number. They're begging it to take Phoenix, right? They really are.
Yeah.
So just give me Denver at home. And I won't even touch the total.
Thursday night, Denver hosts the Celtics. Could be the NBA preview to the NBA Finals. Does that affect the handicap at all for you? They got it. The game is against the conference teams mean more. These one-time shots against the other conference. I don't even know if maybe Boston will sit a guy or two. We'll see. But look ahead for Denver is the Celtics. That doesn't factor into tonight, does it, for you?
It does and it doesn't. Not really, because Denver's only a half a game behind Minnesota and Oklahoma City for home court advantage. So, I mean,
right.
I would think that would mean something for them. Do they need home court advantage to win? No, obviously. But, I would think, at this point that they would like to get it. So, no, I'm not going to. A little bit, but nah. I still give me Denver. Denver's still at home. Phoenix is broken down, so
does Denver win the Western Conference? Does Denver win the Western Conference season? These other two at the top?
Yeah. I thought maybe Minnesota. By the way, Minnesota did another dopey thing, right? I remember. I was telling you about how 3 games now they've done something stupid. First game, they're taking 3-point shots up 9 with a minute and a half left rather than running play off the play clock. Next game, they take a 2-point shot down 3 with 3 seconds left. They're shooting at 2. Stupid. And this last game, Minnesota, Anthony Edwards decided he was going to miss the start of the game because he was preoccupied exercising. Not winning. They're not winning. So Denver's going to win the West with the best record.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, you want to win these basketball games, yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like this is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in.
Third,
this is the Penn
always
State rule.
going to be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
InGame Live, PrimeTime, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight You may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort
night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
All right, welcome back. It is In-Game Live, prime time, right here on the grid. 40 past the hour. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharpan for another 20 minutes or so till 10 p.m. Eastern time as we watch the action here in the NBA, NHL, and college basketball. Need a goal, Dave, out of the Devils here. We got a couple minutes left. Our coach's fired system. We got 45 seconds left. So, all right. We need a goal out of the Devils. Yeah, we might be in trouble on that one. It's been pretty good this year, so we kind of owe one little give back. Tough spot with out of town. This Panther team, I tell you what, man. You know,
best team in hockey.
It's going to take a monumental effort, right, for someone to beat them 4 out of 7. No, I mean they got it all, right? They got history doing it last year. You know, they got success 2 years ago. So you can't even say, well, can they do it for 4 series? You know, clearly they can, or at least they know they have to. It's going to take a real good effort for someone to beat this team.
Without a doubt. And they got the goaltending. They got everything you need, like, to win any style of game. They want to play a physical, nasty game with some penalties, and they got good special teams. You want to play a skating game, they can play that game too. I'm super impressed with them. Really been watching them the last couple of weeks going, it's going to be a hard out. This is the team to beat in the Eastern Conference. Now, again, everything's going to change Friday. There's going to be moves made, odds slide here, there, whatever. One of my favorite days in a room was always NHL trading deadline day as well as MLB trading deadline day because you really set the odds for the final stretch run after maybe a move or two's made. I don't even know if Florida's making a move. I don't know if they have to go get a winger or something. I think they're pretty set the way they are. So maybe a backup goalie. I don't know. I don't think we got to worry about it. Boston scored. That's 1-0.
I see that.
Boston. Yeah. So that's on pace right there. It's still, I mean, unders plus juice. That over 2.5 is big juice, but it's on pace to fall 2-1. So this could end good. Second best team in the Eastern Conference for you. You know, because we're going to talk about winning championships and winning Stanley Cups. If Florida's the best team in the East, who right now is your second best team in the Eastern Conference in the NHL? Because it's a big source of discussion, a big source of debate. And again, the path, is it Carolina? Is it the Rangers? Is it Toronto? I think it's pretty wide open. We were talking about the West with Kurtz. What's your Eastern Conference final matchup if it's one side is the Panthers?
Yeah, I'm going to be biased here and say Boston.
Completely biased.
That's just me being a Bruins fan. But listen, they're obviously good. Second best record. It's chalk, right? Top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference points-wise. So, but I don't have any faith in Carolina. They lose every single year. The Rangers, I can't say them. They, this might be the Rangers' year. It might be, but let me see them really get it done in the postseason. Toronto, forget about it, right? So who's left, right? There's not that many in the West or in the East. West, you got a ton, but in the East, who outside? Like anyone else would. I'll tell you what. I will say this, and we're going to go over this tomorrow when we have more time. I still think Tampa Bay is dangerous. I think they have one more run in them. I think that, and it's the perfect team that's kind of hanging in the weeds there. Veteran team. They know they've been through this grind 1,000 times. They got the goaltending. They got the players. I could see that team saying, "Okay, now let's turn it on now." So Tampa Bay would be the one.
I'm looking at the numbers now, the Eastern Conference numbers. They are the next choice after those 5 that we mentioned. It goes, Florida, Carolina, Boston, Rangers, and Maple Leafs. Then the Lightning. And then the Devils are ahead of the Red Wings and the Flyers. You want to talk about 2 fun teams that I think are going to make it very difficult in the first round. The Flyers may be fading, but man, the Detroit Red Wings, it's alive. It's it's hope. It's Patrick Kane in a Red Wing uniform, which still looks a little bit odd to me. But man, how in the world are those numbers worse or better for bettors, but longer for books than the Devils? The Devils are done. Toast. They're not making the playoffs. They're not getting in. And then the other team from Pennsylvania that's really a bummer is the Penguins. I mean, they're just I've been saying it to everybody back home.
Sell?
The Penguins aren't a threat, right? I think so. It might be time to move Letang if somebody takes him. It might. I mean, Kurtz was talking about Wetzel and Raquel.
Rust.
I think they're both gone too. Rust. I mean, it's time to get younger, quicker. Okay, but it might be time. They're not trading Crosby. That's not happening. Highly unlikely they're trading Malkin. Highly unlikely, but they may trade Letang. So, I don't know. We'll see. But I don't think they're making the playoffs. My focus has gone to try to find who the second best team is in the Eastern Conference. I'm a little high on Carolina. I'm higher on Carolina than you. They just play the same night, same game every night, night after night after night. I think, they get the goaltending. They can lull some teams asleep, make a series very, very physical. I love Brenda Moore as a coach.
Great home field.
The adjustments.
Home ice advantage, right? Tough to beat them there. Yeah.
I was going to go to the
game.
game.
I got to see it from
when
them.
I was in Carolina this past weekend. They had a 12:30 game at home against Winnipeg Saturday afternoon, and I didn't get the call from my daughter that their games got rained out. I was going to do this. I'll ask you. I was in Carolina. I found out too late to go to the Jets and Carolina Panthers, so I headed right down toward Chapel Hill. North Carolina hosting NC State. The game was 9.5, and the total was 154.5. Or Virginia at Duke. Having never been to either place, the line was 7.5 Duke, but the total was 124.5. Which game would you have gone to?
If you go to NC State, you get 2 out of the 3, or really 4 when you want to include Wake. You only get the 1 if you go to Duke, Virginia. But I think, despite my hatred for Duke, I think I'd actually have gone to the Duke game.
Really?
Being a Cameron Indoor. Yeah, I think so.
I mean, you call them the Dookie Pukies. I thought that was an easy bet. I bet you would set it North Carolina, and I'm wearing the North Carolina stuff. I got the sweatshirt there. I bought one of everything at the place. I thought Cameron Indoor, 6,500 people. Tickets going to be steep. North Carolina Dean Dome, 21,750. I figured I might be able to get a better opportunity to get a ticket. So it was a 4 o'clock start and then a 6 o'clock start. I almost did the parlay. I almost did both. But the game was so good. North Carolina was down at halftime to NC State. I had my app up on my phone. North Carolina is going legal in 8 days. If you haven't heard, my Twitter feed's inundated with ads for North Carolina. I guess because I keep talking about, I don't know. I got buried with ads while I was there. It's going legal in 8 days. But I had my app up, and the guy next to me said, "What are you looking at?" I said, "If you have opportunity, you should probably bet North Carolina right now." They were plus 2.5 at halftime. They ended up winning by they didn't cover the original number. They won by 7. So that was a good bet. The guy thought I knew something. I said, "You should watch SportsGrid." Tried to get him to download the app right there on the spot. It was fun.
There you go. We got to get some business cards here, for this show. SportsGrid InGame Live.
Good idea.
Sure.
You're full of good
winnings
ideas.
tonight.
But do people use business cards anymore, Scott? Like, be honest. Do people use business cards?
What's that?
Do people use business cards anymore?
I do. I mean, someone recognized me the other day, believe it or not. I
Whoa.
was doing a referee game. Yeah. Although they didn't recognize me from SportsGrid, they recognized me from my older days, I'll just say, here in New York. So at the 3-letter network. But so I was going to get my business card, but they were in the car. So yeah, there are times when business cards are still given out. I think so.
Right.
I think so.
Right.
By the way, Cadavers did it. Not only did they cover the 8.5, outright. Game goes under 105, 109, or at least from the 210.5 that I told you. But yeah, how about that? I told you, it's a great little system. It's goofy. It's one of those things you just have to kind of follow. I don't have exact numbers. Just, following it, Dave. You know how these things go. When teams win like the Celtics won on Sunday, even though the players didn't play the whole game, most of the guys were out at halftime, literally, maybe a couple minutes into the third quarter. I don't know what the false sense of security. Other teams get pumped up to play them. And it's another example, right? Cleveland, without Donovan Mitchell, another example. Best player doesn't play. What happens? The whole world bets against them, right? And what happened? They win the game outright, let alone covering the spread. It's a good little system.
Outright. And Boston has Denver on the road next. And then they go to Phoenix. Maybe I'll take a ride down to see this team in person. They play Phoenix Saturday night. I think I might go. You want to go? Come out to Vegas. I'll pick you up. Yeah.
Yeah.
You drive, though. Yeah, I'll ride passenger.
I drive. All right.
That's perfect. I know you're a driver.
I got to drive.
I know.
I am a driver.
That's good.
Yeah. I get car sick. Oh, yeah. I used to sleep when I was younger in the back seat. Otherwise, I'd get car sick. Yeah. I have to drive.
Oh.
We used to drive all the way from Chicago when I was working in Chicago back to New York. 22 hours or 18 hours. 20 hours, with stops. I drive the whole way. Whole way. No problem. Yeah.
Really?
I can't sit. Yeah, I can't even sit in a passenger seat. I just can't read. Yeah. I get too fidgety. I need to drive. I get too bored.
I'm good.
So,
well, you can drive. I'll sit in the passenger seat. I'll check the lines. We'll make plays on the way down. I like the sound of all of that. I think we could do that. Yeah, we can pull that off.
Be a good time.
See if we can get the jet. I'll ask MC and Lou. See if they can send Wetzel out to the desert for the weekend. Got things to do.
Yeah, get the private jet that I know they have. Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
Come on out. That's perfect. I'll pick you up and we'll go. All right, that's good. Perfect.
270.5. Indiana 74-70 over Dallas at the half.
Here comes Dallas. Yeah.
Wow.
What's the in game?
270.5. Let me see how many points Luka has.
It
about
still
35,
might go over
I imagine.
that. It still might go over
He's got 28. Yeah. They might.
We had
or
28
he might.
when we talked.
Or the game
So we
might.
need more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can
he go for 50?
Is this right? Did the Knicks lose outright?
Wow.
The Knicks lost outright to Atlanta. Boy, they're a mess without Brunson.
That's awful.
They are a mess without Brunson. Pistons?
I mean, it's understandable, right? They don't have Randall and they don't have an Obi yet, I don't think. But you still got to find a way to beat Atlanta at home.
You have to.
Some weird scores. Pelicans by 41 at Toronto tonight. Wow.
You want to take the Pelicans?
That's crazy. Yeah.
That's over.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. All right.
All right, final check of the scores when we come back. In-game live, PrimeTime on the grid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like
This
is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need
Because
to
Penn
find
State's
a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But
Right.
if we make them a third,
They get in.
third,
This is
they're
the Penn
always
State
going to
rule.
be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the book.
The books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live, prime time here on the grid. Wrapping up shop here. I will say Florida did beat the Devils 5-3. They got an empty netter, so our coaches fired system not any good on that one, Dave. So last check of the board, whether it's NBA, NHL, college basketball, any final thoughts and bets for tonight?
Well, I'm headed to the UNLV San Diego State game here at UNLV right after the show. I asked the wife and kids to go. Everybody nixed it. So I'm going myself. I'm going to tell the dog I'll be back. That's the only one that will actually be waiting up for me when I get home. I think that Rebels are live. Colby came on, made a good case for San Diego State. I like the Rebels in that game. I don't know about the other game, the other Mountain West game. Leaning dog in that one too. Denver to smoke the Suns. In a playoff type game with the Vancouver Canucks and the LA Kings, I think that game goes under, believe it or not. Those two teams have been more overs than unders, but I'm leaning under with that. How about you?
I'm going to go back on Kansas. They're up 6 now after being down 5 early. They're laying 11.5, but I agree with Colby. I think they're going to come out and blow them out in the second half. So I do like that one. I'd like the over in Dayton and St. Louis. It's up a little bit now, 161.5. This St. Louis team, it stinks, but boy, they go up and down the court like it's nobody's business. So I got no problem going the over again on that one. Hockey, let me see if my Bruins can hold on. 1-0 minute left or so against Edmonton. Preds are laying too much. Blackhawks, how about the Arizona? Plus 122 at home, down 1-0 against Chicago, which has lost 22 straight road games. One more time on the Arizona Coyotes, Dave. They can't lose to Chicago.
You've got enough going with this. I just don't want any more goals in this game. Just root for the train ride home. You get home, it's still 1-0 Chicago after 2. We keep the team total under. Black Cloud gets home. Don't do any more Coyotes. I'll see you tomorrow.
Championship parlays tomorrow. 3-leaguer. Hey, 400 to 1. We'll do it then.